some random idea, a list, to time and space. Eureka. An idea had sprouted and went unnoticed. And what is now a Eureka moment is not. I know what has started to sink in, and I can scarcely begin to see it. A pouch, or that sort of thing, that has finally come in the far reaches of past visions. Something to wear, but not wear. To carry a pouch like people carry smartphones, like they carry their keys. But not that. Not a wallet. This wants to carry anything. Not just a bank account, or the idea of money. The pouch that isn't in a pocket. It is the pocket, ready for anything. What is that? Why is the form so distant, yet reminiscent? I have made this one before, and kept trying to make it, over and over again. 1. The BIFOLD years. It starts here, the BIFOLD. The George Costanza, the thing your uncle with unfashionable morals keeps in his back pocket. Fat with loyalty cards for shops that no longer exist. I say this with love. I made these for years. I got very good at them. The BIFOLD is, in the history of things people carry, an extremely young object. Younger than photography. It is not an ancient form, it is a direct response to paper money, a shape invented in the 1900s to hold another shape. The banknote arrived and the billfold followed, because coins want a bag and notes want a folder. Before that, for most of human history, what you carried on your person was not flat. It was a pouch, worn on the belt because clothing didn't have pockets. The pocket is the modern invention, not the bag. The pouch was the pocket. People called them cut purses. The thieves who worked crowds because they would cut the pouch clean off your belt. The word survived long after the practice. Language holds the shape of extinct habits. But I didn't know any of that yet in 2016. I just knew the BIFOLD was the thing to learn and make. The canonical form. The test of whether you could make a wallet that didn't embarrass itself. Clean seams, consistent skiving, card slots that held their shape after 1,000 insertions. I learned it. I mastered it, if that word means anything. This one I keep. The shell cordovan exterior, vegetable tan, calfskin interior, built to last a lifetime, and so it is kept like a piece of old furniture you no longer use but can't bring yourself to discard. It has more card slots than anyone needs because it's from that era when people had membership cards for things that are now apps. 2. The craft. I got bored. Not of the craft, of the answer. The bifold is a correct answer to a specific question, and once you've answered it correctly several dozen times, you start wondering whether the question was the right one. Around 2018, I started trying to fix it from within. These are transitional objects, a bifold, but with a pouch added. Coins, earbuds, small fiddly things that don't fit in a card slot. I was still inside the wallet premise, still assuming that money holding was the primary problem. But something was nagging at me that I couldn't articulate yet. The wallet with pouch is an additive solution. It takes a form and appends something to it. What I was reaching for was something more like a subtraction. Stripping the whole premise back to the original question. What does a person actually carry? Not currency. Stuff. 3. The break. 2021. In 2021, I folded a scrap of leather. Not designed, not considered. I had a piece left over. Good leather, too good to discard, too small for anything serious. So I folded it into a pouch shape and put my things in it. That was the break. It sounds unromantic. It was unromantic. Most real things are. But that fold was the first time I had asked the question honestly, without the wallet premise underneath it. Not, how do I make a better wallet? But, what shape does a person's daily carry actually want to be? The answer, it turned out, was old. The word purse comes from the Greek bursa, oxhide, tanned leather. Before it meant money, before it meant the thing you keep coins in, it just meant the leather thing. The material gave the object its name, because for a long time, the material and the object were inseparable. A purse was leather, like how a hammer is iron. Not a container made of leather, just leather shaped into usefulness. Go back further, 3,300 BCE. A man frozen in the Alps, found intact in 1991, carrying a belt pouch. Inside, a scraper, a drill, a flint flake, tinder fungus. Otzi the Iceman, dead 5,000 years, and his daily carry is perfectly legible. A lighter, a knife, something to start a fire with. He wasn't carrying currency. He was carrying the small, irreducible tools of being alive, in a body, in a world. Let's go back further.
Yes. Ever since the Aboriginal Dreamtime, long ago, the kangaroo scrotum has been known to bring good luck and great fortune to its owners. As ancient legend has it, the young Aboriginal hunter Barame created this pouch to contain his precious belongings, and he wore it around his neck everywhere he went. He soon found how lucky it was when it stopped a spear thrown by his enemy from killing him. From that day onwards, it became a valued symbol of good luck amongst the Aboriginal people. The kangaroo scrotum is known for its lucky fertility qualities, and, most of all, its ability to create abundance for all who carry it. Now, everyone can share the luck with your own all-Australian lucky pouch.
This is a 100% genuine vegetable tan kangaroo scrotum. It does, for the record, it smells like good leather. It's held with what I can only describe as complete aesthetic indifference. And it's stapled on. Elegant. The early Qing dynasty had perfume pouches, small embroidered cases worn like a modern crossbody, carrying combs, small bottles, personal tokens. Not money. They put down strings. Things. The traces of a human life kept close to the body. This is what civilization is made of. Not commerce, not just currency. The small personal objects that a person carries because they are that person in that body living that life. The wallet had narrowed this down to money and its rectangles. I wanted to go back. Long ago, I had decided to participate in a crafts fair. The largest in North America, the one-of-a-kind show, hosted in Toronto. I loved the experience, but I collapsed for 3 days straight after the spring show. The shorter show, 5 days straight of like what it was for me, at least, like a 20-hour day. I don't feel human when I'm doing that. By the way, I'm very tired right now. Just not as tired as I was doing that show, though. So forgive the tangents. Yeah, but yeah, it was a really tough show, and I came back with profit, which was great. But I also came home with these small pouches made of folded leather that I made to kill time while the show was going on. No one bought these. I just had a small bin of them from leftover leather, offcuts from making larger goods. A single sheet, folded, stamped with a snap button. A little skiving, a little glue. I didn't know it, but it was a real moment in personal history. I priced them at $20. Nobody bought one. Not even my dad. The premise, though, was there. Fold, pouch, carry your stuff. Every design process has a turn, a moment where the intention shifts. The first version had one goal: make waste useful enough to matter. The second version had two: make a beautiful object and a functional one. At some point, I turned it over and thought, what if it could hold a card, a Metro Pass, a debit card? That single thought changed everything. I bought better leather and I made this. It was a huge improvement. It has a main pouch, a rear slot, and a slightly augmented shape. Someone once told me it looks like a croissant. At a craft show, one interaction told me everything I needed to know. A woman walked up, picked one up, smelled the leather, which is the right first move, by the way, you saw. She asked the price. I asked her where she came from. She said Australia. Paid in cash immediately, thanked me, and walked away. 2 minutes. Best sales interaction of my life. That wallet was priced at 180 Singapore dollars. One of the more expensive things at a small craft show. And just, no hesitation, no bargaining. Every maker should get to experience that moment at least once. One good design moment is intoxicating. At that point, the pouch stopped being just a pouch. It became a generator of ideas. Square versions, more complex pocket constructions, different materials, different closures. Some experiments worked. Many didn't. Some were outright failures. Failure hurts, but it's also where you learn what a design actually needs in order to be useful to someone else. Larger versions, smaller versions. I tried reversibility. I had this tote bag gifted to me, both a tote and a vest, and reversible. And something in it kept calling to me. I made a reversible version. A party trick, sure. But there's no denying that it makes it a more interesting object. The color combinations started pouring in, the interchangeable components lured me into a false sense of coherent design practice. I was interior designing, not architecting. I pushed the limits and got lost. I stayed stuck, made a few, barely marketed them. Not really interested in selling them even. I just wanted something that solved that problem all those pouches ago. Something beautiful and something functional. I felt the creative spark move into a different project, so I carried on. I eventually arrived here. The most functional of the prototypes, version N-1. Reversible. A considered strap. The proportions finally honest. But I still felt it was incomplete. Something in the carrying gesture wasn't resolved. The size was never just right. The strap logic wasn't fully committed. I found myself defaulting to my pants pocket, or putting the pouch in my pants pocket, like a wallet. So it's close, not there. And then I set it down, and I moved on. $20.25, the complicated wallet. Somewhere in the middle of the pouch years, the wallet question had been crystallizing separately. I had never fully answered it. The bifold bored me. The bifold with the pouch was additive and still boring. But the money holding problem, the card problem, the coins and small objects problem, I had been circling it for years. In 2025, I resolved it. Kind of. This is the most complicated wallet I make. It is made from 3 rectangles of leather. Just 3 rectangles, folded and assembled into a form that holds coins, cards, cash, and the small fiddly objects that don't belong anywhere else. It has a card bucket rather than card slots, which I find considerably easier to use, a bill compartment, and in the middle, a small pouch. For oldest part, the pouch, returned to. The leather does most of the work. There is one problem leather alone cannot solve. How do you get a springy leather tongue to hold its shape indefinitely under repeated use without eventually collapsing? The answer is a skeletal frame printed in polycarbonate, the material they use for bulletproof shields. Flexible, springy, weightless by comparison to steel. It will not rust, it will not crumble, it will just hold its shape quietly for as long as the leather holds its stitching. 3 rectangles, 1 frame piece. The construction to get there is, by any rational measure, unreasonable. But the object that results has no wasted surface, no unnecessary layer, nothing that isn't doing exactly what it needs to do. I consider this wallet iterated to finality, which is different from finished, and different from perfect. It means I have exhausted what this particular line of inquiry can teach me within its own constraints. Further iteration would be rearranging rather than discovering. And here's the honest thing I have to say about it. I completed this object at the cusp of its own obsolescence. The wallet problem, the specific problem of how a person organizes their physical money and cards, is dissolving. Not gone, not dead, but the cultural practice of carrying physical tokens of value is becoming, for many people, vestigial. The everything pouch is already sufficient for my daily life. The complicated wallet, for me, personally, a monument more than a tool. A proof of concept for a question that changed under my hands while I was answering it. I don't say this with regret. I say it with something more like wonder. I want to sit with something for a moment because I think it's significant, and it's more significant than it's usually treated. For 5,000 years, from Otzi's belt pouch to the medieval cut purse to the Qing Dynasty perfume pouch to the 20th century bifold, every version of this object served the same basic function, keeping small physical tokens of your daily life close to your body. The tokens changed, the materials changed, the silhouette changed, the gesture didn't. The smartphone is the first object in human history that makes that gesture entirely optional. My daily carry right now is rolled bills, a debit card, a lighter, clipped to my bike key fob, rather few things. And my phone. If I just use QR code payments, I'd probably just be using my phone for everything. The thread of continuity between me and Otzi is thinner than it feels. It's basically the lighter and the key. Everything else is one software update away from disappearing. I don't think this is simply a product category declining. I think it's something stranger. A quiet but significant departure from being a creature that is primarily physically embodied toward something more like a digital physical hybrid. We are increasingly people whose most important daily transactions, communications, memories, and tokens of identity live somewhere unreachable by the hand. You can't smell your contacts list. You can't feel the weight of your bank balance. I'm not pessimistic about this. Traditions change. They always have. But most people haven't noticed that this particular change is a rupture in something 5 millennia old, not just a shift in consumer preferences. The pouch is my response to that rupture, not a resistance to it, a response, an acknowledgement that even in the smartphone era, a person is still a body, still has a lighter, still has a key, still occasionally a crumpled bill. The pouch comes first. Money holding is incidental. And yet, the pouch itself was still unresolved. Eureka. The return. Months later, after walking the dog and feeding all the house animals, I felt the need to adjust the design for a commission. And in the bustle of the daily grind comes this gem of an idea, just crystallizing in front of me as a solution for a current client. The little threads of patterning logic I had picked up from hours of research over years of practice. The lessons learned from trying unique things until they broke, and fixing problems until they turned into features. The valuable lessons from repairing my mistakes and the mistakes of others. All of it arriving at once. One piece of folded leather, no structural stitching. 4 grommets. 2 straps, 1 set of magnets for closure, 3 distinct compartments, reversible, still, somehow, reversible, in the most simple, idiot-proof manner possible. The strap question, resolved. The carrying gesture, committed. The form, truly, honest. This is not a better version This is a different category of object from everything that preceded it. The preceding versions were iterations. This is an arrival. Half a decade of one question. Answer. And the answer looks like it was always obvious. That's how you know. The ending. I started asking this question in 2016 and I'm still asking it. What should a person carry? The BIFOLD answered, your money, your cards, flat and organized. The correct answer for a specific era, and that era is ending. The complicated wallet answered, the money holding problem, completely, for the last time. A monument to a question whose era is passing. And I mean that with full respect for monuments. Some things are worth making carefully, even as their era ends. Possibly, especially then. The everything pouch answers. Whatever you actually need close to your body in the smallest, honest form. An answer that turns out to be 5,000 years old, took me 5 years, and just dressed in new leather. This one. This perfect pouch. Version N. I think is a genius idea. Made full and real. It is finality in a different way from the complicated wallet. I feel like it is perfect, at least to me, and at least as close to perfect as I've ever reached. It's not a closing of a chapter, but the start of a new one. None of them, including this one, is final. This pouch, least of all, I can already see the next version for me. I'm in no hurry to reach it. But here's what I keep coming back to after a decade of making objects and thinking about why anyone makes them at all. The world is changing faster than any object can answer. The smartphone is dissolving habits 5 millennia old. We are becoming, slowly and strangely, creatures less tethered to the physical tokens of our lives. And still, a person pats their pocket before they leave the house. Still, someone picks up a piece of leather and smells it before they decide. Still, we feel the need to gather our small, important things and keep them close to our bodies. Otzi did it with a scraper and tinder fungus. Your grandmother did it with a coin purse. You do it with a phone and a key and maybe a lighter. Somewhere inside all of us, beside all our noise and our problems and our digital ghosts, is the same creature that felt the need to make a pouch at all. Go make something. What a funny thing. Oh, wild. Please be in focus. Hi, welcome back to the workshop. We are finally done with the video. What a long video. It is by far the most involved and most difficult video project I've ever undertaken. I'm very, very grateful to anyone out there who has watched up to this point. And also, I'd like to say thank you to any and all subscribers who are watching, and future subscribers too. If you are somebody who is crafty and enjoys working with your hands, I have released a separate video which is a tutorial about getting back to the basics, and it involves making a leather card holder. one that has a free pattern available on my website at throughoutthebook.com. If you don't care about making, or you saw something in this video that you thought, hey, I'd like to buy that, I have some inventory available on my website, throughoutthebook.com. The best way to support independent artists and artisans everywhere around the world is to buy directly from them. So if you enjoy the things I make and you'd like to support me, you can do so over there. That's enough advertising for now. I don't have anything left to say, but I do know that I have funny music running over this, and this is like the 4th version of this outro that I've filmed. And this version is actually being filmed like a month after the original version, which itself was written, because I do write all these things beforehand. It was written like half a year before that, and the idea for this video I think came from like maybe 2 years ago when I first like tried making a YouTube video. I was always thinking about what story do I really want to tell, and the Eureka moment of the Everything pouch and its continued iteration is something that is really impactful to me, because it couldn't have happened without me putting myself out there and interacting with customers and clients and people who have opinions and watching what comes out of it. So seeing my designs go out and for people to download them and try them out is a really awesome thing, and I'd love to give back to the community that has supported me thus far. Anyways, I'm pretty sure I've rambled enough, but I also am pretty sure that the music is still going on because I looped it, and I also mixed the whole thing because I have that particular kind of OCD. Anyways, the music should still be going on, or if it's not going on, you should probably just turn off the video because I don't have anything else to say. And I feel like I should go to sleep too. It's been a while. and this has taken a lot of organization and coordination on my own behalf, but also, you know, friends and family who have helped me out. Yeah. You ever get that feeling, that empty feeling after doing something really big, and then you're just wondering, what do I do now? And you know, luckily for me, I know what I'm going to do next. I have so many more videos to edit, and also so many more things to make and ideas to make come real. So what are you still here for? Goodbye. Yeah. See you next time. Or don't. I don't know. Bye-bye.